All right, so are you ready to dive into some seriously thought-provoking stuff today?
I am.
We're going to be talking about those unexpected ways that angels might be working in your life,
Right.
even when things feel like they're going completely sideways.
Yeah,
You know those moments when you're just like, seriously, universe, what's the deal here?
absolutely.
That's what we're unpacking today. And we're using this article
Yes.
called Signs That Angel is Ruining Your Life, Strange But True, as our guide.
Now, before you think we've totally lost our minds,
Like,
let's be clear. This isn't about dwelling on negativity or fear or anything like that.
This is about exploring a fresh perspective
Yeah.
on challenges
Yeah.
and maybe even finding a bit of empowerment. And
Absolutely.
those moments when we just feel like throwing our hands up
Yeah.
and saying what's going on?
I think the article outlines 6 signs, and we're going to dig into each one.
Okay.
And we're going to try to see what they really reveal about personal growth and the spiritual lessons that life throws our way. I love that.
Hopefully we'll uncover some aha moments that'll help you see your own life with a little more clarity.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
The first sign that this article kind of jumps into is that feeling of everything falling apart,
Right.
which I think we can all relate to on some level.
Absolutely.
It's like when relationships crumble or your career hits a snag or your health takes a dip.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of being totally blindsided by everything.
Yeah, it's easy to feel like a victim in those moments, for sure.
Totally.
But what's interesting is this idea that these breakdowns might actually be wake-up calls
Okay.
orchestrated by those angelic forces that we're talking about.
Okay, hold on. Orchestrated by angels.
Yeah.
Are you saying that they're deliberately causing chaos in our lives?
Not causing chaos exactly.
Mhm.
Think of it more like this. Imagine a building that's outdated, maybe even unsafe.
Okay.
You can't just build something new on top of that foundation, right?
Okay.
You've got to demolish the old structure first, even though it's messy and disruptive. So you're saying these tough times, the things that feel like they're falling apart are like that demolition phase,
Yeah.
angels knocking down the outdated parts of our lives
Yeah.
to make room for something better.
Precisely. It's about pushing us out of our comfort zones, even if it feels uncomfortable, to make space for something stronger and more aligned with who we're truly meant to be.
Okay, I can see that. And it kind of makes you wonder, what might feel like it's crumbling in your own life right now?
Right.
Could this be one of those cosmic demolitions in progress, paving the way for something incredible, something you haven't even imagined yet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
It leads us perfectly to the second sign repeating challenges,
Mm.
which can be incredibly frustrating.
Ugh,
It's like you're stuck in a loop facing the same problem over and over again.
like that friend we all have who keeps dating the same type of person even though it always ends in heartbreak.
Right.
What's the
No.
deal with that?
It's like the universe, maybe with a little angelic assistance, is
Mhm.
trying to get our attention, teach us a lesson we haven't quite grasped yet.
So it's not just bad luck or, terrible taste in partners.
Right.
There's a deeper meaning behind these recurring patterns.
There might be. Yeah. It's about recognizing that the struggle itself could hold the key to breaking free.
Hmm.
That's where the real growth happens.
So how do we uncover that lesson, that deeper meaning?
Yeah.
It can't be easy to spot when you're in the thick of it.
It's about taking a step back, looking for the common threads in those repeating challenges. Ask yourself, what's the underlying theme here? What am I consistently struggling with?
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Instead of just feeling frustrated, we can actually use these repeating patterns as opportunities for some serious introspection.
Exactly. It's like those patterns are a flashing neon sign pointing us towards the areas where we need to grow, evolve, maybe even do a little inner work.
Think about your own life. What's one challenge that keeps popping up?
Right.
Could there be a hidden lesson waiting to be discovered?
Maybe it's a pattern in your relationships, your career, or even your inner dialogue.
Interesting.
Whatever it is, it's worth paying attention to.
And that brings us to the third sign, complete loss of direction.
Yeah. Have you ever felt utterly lost, like you're wandering through a fog, unsure of what your purpose is or even what path to take?
Totally.
We're all conditioned to have a plan to strive for certainty, but this sign suggests that maybe, just maybe, that lack of clarity is actually an invitation to surrender to the unknown.
We'd surrender to the unknown. Isn't that a bit, terrifying?
It can be. But what if the angels working in those mysterious ways of theirs are trying to guide us to trust in something bigger than ourselves, even when we can't see the way forward?
So instead of frantically searching for a map, we should just let go. That's a tough pill to swallow for someone who likes to be in control.
I understand. But think of it this way. Sometimes the most incredible journeys begin with a leap of faith, a willingness to trust that we're being guided even when we can't see the destination.
I'm starting to see how this ties in with the idea of everything falling apart. Maybe those breakdowns are actually clearing the way for us to embrace something entirely new, something we couldn't even fathom when we were clinging to our old plans and expectations.
That's a great connection. And it leads us perfectly into the next sign, which might be the most challenging one yet.
Okay, I'm ready for it. Hit me with sign number 4.
It's all about things spiraling out of control.
Oh boy, here we go. I think we've all had those moments where we feel like we're desperately trying to grip the steering wheel, but the universe has other plans.
It can be unsettling, to say the least.
Yeah.
We like to believe we're in charge, that we've got a handle on things, but then life throws a curveball and suddenly we're spinning out of control. Totally. It's like you're on a runaway train and you just can't hit the brakes.
Right.
But this article suggests that maybe, just maybe, that feeling of losing control is actually an invitation to surrender.
Surrender.
Exactly. It's a paradox, isn't it?
It is.
We try so hard to control like every aspect of our lives, but maybe, just maybe, the most profound growth happens when we finally just let go.
But letting go is terrifying.
It is.
It's like jumping off a cliff and hoping there's a safety net at the bottom.
It does require a certain amount of trust, for sure.
For sure.
But think of it like this. Trying to control the flow of a river is futile. Like, you can't force it to go in a certain direction.
Right.
The true power lies in understanding the current, working with it, and allowing it to carry you.
Okay, that's a helpful analogy.
Yeah.
So instead of fighting against the current, maybe we need to learn to ride the waves even when they feel a bit choppy.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? How do we let go of that need to control everything?
It's a process, for sure. It starts with recognizing when we're gripping too tightly.
Okay.
What's one area of your life where you tend to, like, micromanage?
Oh, gosh.
Where you resist letting go?
So many areas. But I think work is a big one for me. I have a hard time delegating, even when I know I should.
Yeah.
I like to be the one calling the shots.
I see.
It's a control thing, I guess.
And what happens when you try to control everything?
Well, I end up stressed and exhausted and, frankly, not very fun to be around.
So perhaps this is an area where you could experiment with surrendering a bit more.
Okay.
What if you tried delegating a task or two? What's the worst that could happen?
That's a good question. Maybe things wouldn't fall apart if I wasn't in charge of every little detail.
Right.
Maybe I could actually free up some time and energy to focus on the things that really matter.
Exactly. And you might even be surprised at the talent and creativity that emerge when you give others the space to contribute.
Okay. I'm feeling a little less terrified of letting go now. Maybe this spiraling out of control thing isn't so bad after all.
Right.
It could actually be an opportunity to, well, breathe a little and trust that things will work out, even if it's not exactly according to my plan.
That's the spirit. And speaking of letting go, that leads us to the fifth sign, which might be the most challenging to process. Being stripped of the permanent.
Ooh, this one sounds heavy. What does that even mean?
It's about those experiences that shake us to our core, those losses that feel like a part of us is gone forever. It could be the loss of a job, a relationship, a dream, even a physical ability.
Those are tough.
Yeah.
Those losses can be devastating.
They can be.
It's like a part of your identity is stripped away and you're left wondering who you are without it.
Yeah.
I remember when my grandmother passed away, it felt like a huge piece of my world just vanished.
It's a profound experience and it's natural to grieve. But the article suggests that maybe, just maybe, these losses are actually making space for something even better, something we couldn't have envisioned while we were clinging to the old.
That's a tough one to wrap your head around when you're in the midst of grief or loss.
It is.
How could losing something precious ever be a good thing?
Think of it like this. What if those things we thought were permanent, those things we were clinging to so tightly, were actually blocking our view of something even greater? Like, imagine you have a closet crammed full of clothes you never wear. You can't even see what's in there, let alone make space for new items. Sometimes we need to let go of the old, even the things that hold sentimental value, to make room for the new to come in.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like clearing out the clutter, both physically and emotionally,
Yeah.
to allow for fresh energy and new possibilities to flow in.
Yeah.
But it still hurts to let go, especially when it's something or someone we love.
Absolutely. And it's important to honor those feelings of grief and loss.
Right.
But perhaps as we move through that process, we can also start to cultivate a sense of curiosity about what might emerge in the empty space. What if that loss, as painful as it is actually creating the perfect conditions for a new chapter, a new dream, a new love to blossom?
Now that's a thought-provoking perspective. It's like Those losses, as heartbreaking as they are, might actually be opportunities to redefine ourselves, to discover hidden strengths and resilience we didn't even know we had.
Precisely. And that brings us to the final sign, the one that ties everything together.
Okay, I'm ready for it. Lay it on me.
It's the idea that the ruin is the rebirth.
Ruin is rebirth. That sounds pretty intense. What does that even mean in the context of like angelic intervention?
It's the culmination of everything we've talked about today, the falling apart, the repeating challenges, the loss of direction, the surrendering of control, the stripping away of what we thought was permanent. It's the realization that sometimes those experiences that feel like our world is ending are actually the catalyst for our greatest transformation.
So it's not just about bouncing back from setbacks. It's about those challenges actually pushing us towards becoming a completely new version of ourselves.
Exactly, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, stronger and more vibrant than before. The article suggests that those difficult, messy, even heartbreaking experiences might be the very things that ignite our soul's evolution, even if we can't see it at the time.
Wow. Okay, so how do we start to see things through that lens? How do we embrace the ruin as a pathway to rebirth? Because honestly, when you're in the middle of a crisis, that feels like a pretty tough sell.
Yeah, it's not about pretending that everything is fine or denying the pain. It's about shifting our perspective, understanding that maybe, just maybe, those challenges are part of a larger plan, a divine orchestration leading us towards our highest potential.
But how do we trust that? How do we know that the ruin isn't just, well, ruin? That there's actually something meaningful on the other side?
It starts with a willingness to be open to the possibility. What if instead of resisting those challenges, we leaned into them, explored them with curiosity, and asked ourselves, what is this experience trying to teach me?
So instead of focusing on what we've lost or what's going wrong, we can shift our attention to what we might gain from those experiences, even if it's not immediately apparent.
Precisely. It's about trusting that there's a purpose behind the pain, a reason for the chaos, even if we can't fully grasp it in the moment. It's about having faith that something beautiful can emerge from the ashes, even if we can't see it yet.
I'm starting to understand. It's like those challenges are forcing us to dig deep, to discover hidden reserves of strength and resilience we never knew we had.
Exactly. And as we navigate those challenges, as we allow ourselves to be transformed by them, we emerge as more authentic, more compassionate, and more aligned versions of ourselves. That's the essence of rebirth.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to make sure we leave our listener with some actionable takeaways. What are some key things they can do to start embracing this idea of ruin as rebirth in their own lives?
First, cultivate a sense of curiosity. When you're faced with a challenge, instead of immediately falling into fear or resistance, ask yourself, what's the lesson here? What am I meant to learn from this experience?
I love that. It's about approaching those challenges as opportunities for growth, not punishments to be endured.
Exactly. And second, remember that you're not alone in this journey. Whether you believe in angels or simply a guiding force in the universe, trust that you're being supported even when things feel chaotic and uncertain.
And finally, embrace the process. Allow yourself to be transformed by the challenges you face, knowing that even in the midst of what feels like ruin, there's a powerful rebirth waiting to unfold.
Beautifully said. And who knows, maybe those experiences that once felt like the end of the world will turn out to be the catalyst for your most incredible beginning.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you a new perspective on the challenges you might be facing, and perhaps even a renewed sense of hope that something truly amazing can emerge from the ashes of those difficult experiences. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep trusting in the transformative power of the universe.